J. Marie, and I'm so excited for you to be here watching and listening to Girl Talk with J. Marie. Thank you, thank you, thank you, because I have a very, very, very special episode for you today. As you know, it is Memorial Day weekend. So, why would I not bring a lovely, incredible girl to the set? Y'all gotta make sure to make some noise, clap it up for my guest co-host today. The British is in the building, baby. British Mendoza, y'all. Clap it up, y'all. What's up,
What
girl? Say
up?
hi to my girls.
Hey girls, how y'all doing?
We out here, girl. We out here. So I'm excited for you to be here today for several reasons. Primarily because we are celebrating Memorial Day, and I know you have done so many things. And today's episode is simply surrounded around service. And with that being said, it's called Service Doesn't Stop with Your Country. We have a lady and a servant on this show today, y'all. We're gonna get right into it. So, with that being said, the first segment we like to do here on the show, British, it's called Prayer on the Spot segment. Let me tell you why. Because I just believe prayer is powerful. We like to give people a scripture that they can hold on to, that they can take to their prayer closet, and that they can utilize for the rest of their week or the rest of their lives, really. So, this week's scripture, it comes from one of my favorite books, and this is my favorite verse, like one of them besides Romans 8:28. Y'all already know that. Okay, so this scripture is from Joshua 1 and 9. So go ahead and get your Bibles out. No, I'm just yeah. You already know. Go ahead and get your Bibles out. But no, seriously, this scripture is so powerful and relevant to today's episode, as well as what we'll be talking about for the rest of this episode. So, Joshua 1 and 9, it says, "Be of good courage. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. The Lord is going to go with you wherever you go." I need to say that one more time. I'm going to make sure to make it more fluid for y'all. "Have I not commanded you to be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged, for the Lord is going to go with you wherever you go." And y'all, it's a very powerful and important word, because it's not just for what happens whenever you are out serving our country, but it also applies to everything you do in your lives. Right now, we are dealing in some scary times. It's not always going to feel good. You might have to do some stuff to make you uncomfortable, but this is a strong scripture for you to stand on. So Joshua 1 and 9, y'all, take it into your heart, take it into your prayer closets, ask God to help you be strong and be courageous, because this woman who is here with us today, I mean, that's exactly what she done. So I just want to thank you so much for your service. And I just want you to know that we appreciate you, British. We thank you that you are so powerful in more ways than one. How do you feel about that scripture? What does it do to you when you hear about being strong and being courageous?
Oh, first, I want to thank you for having me on the show. I am honored, honestly honored. Came out of nowhere. So, um, but when I think of being courageous, I honestly always think about just God in general, and knowing that I can use my faith to lean on him in whatever. I mean, yes, I served this country, and yes, I've deployed twice, and I've been to Afghanistan, and I've been in the middle of war. But I honestly didn't understand what war was until spiritual warfare came about. So that war, physical war, I can handle. Spiritual warfare, something completely different, and something that really tested my faith. So just knowing that I have that word to lean on every time that I need to know, like, where can I pull my strength from?
Mm-hmm.
It's the greatest. There's nothing greater than the textbook of that word. It, like that Bible. There's nothing greater.
Come on, girls and men, because a wise man is going to want to listen simply because it's girl talk. And that's wisdom right there. So I love that you brought that up, because that's exactly what I wanted to go into, talking about how your life has been impacted, even spiritually, what you've done naturally. So the first thing I want to do before we go into that area, I wanted to ask you a couple of things. Now, this is our segment we like to call The quick three with J. Marie. Now, the
Oh.
quick three, it's just an opportunity for us to get to know you so that our guests, or excuse me, our listeners can be a little bit more familiar with who you are and we can be a little bit more intimate and everybody can just feel comfortable. So, girls, listen up because these are some fun questions. Now, question number one: who is your hero?
Ooh, who is my hero? I would say my grandmother. For sure, because she took on a role that she did not have to take on because she did not birth me. So, and I'm so grateful for my mom. Me and her having like she's my favorite. But my grandmother raised me
Yeah.
up until a certain age, and then my mom was able to take over. But my grandmother took on a role that she did not. She had already had experience in that. She didn't have to do that if she didn't want to. You know what I mean? And so just knowing that she cared so much. I mean, my grandmother named me. The reason my name is British is because of her. So if it wasn't for her, I don't know what my name would be. But yeah, my grandmother for sure.
Good job, Grandma, because we love the name British. For the record, I think it's so dope. It's such an artist name. And speaking of that, our question number two, I promise this was question number two for British, y'all. I'm not kidding. And she brought this up. So if I'm like, hopefully this isn't the answer. But, anyways, question number two:
Mhm.
have you ever had a nickname? And if so, what was it?
Yeah, I've had a few nicknames. But growing up, it was always Brick Brick.
Yeah.
That's the easiest
Yep.
ones.
Brit Brit is easy. I have a friend named Brit. Well, some people call her Brit Brit, but you like gotta be real close to give that kind of
Yeah,
nickname. Everybody don't know that nickname.
that's just like
Everybody
family.
don't get
But
to say that.
everybody else was so intrigued with my real name that they would call it full out. But family is like Brick.
Are you British Mendoza? I'm like, I want to say the whole thing. Like that whole name just sounds like it's
And my middle
enticing.
name too. People were always like, my entire name is a country. So
Can we get the middle name or is
sure.
it
So my full name is British Sierra Leone Mendoza.
now wait a minute. Okay, so is there now this is off the three. I see you're supposed to be quick three for a reason. Is this off of like is it your ethnicity or is it somebody that just your grandmother just named you something that was fly? How did this name come up?
So my mom's name is Miami.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it was grandma.
Mama name is Miami. And then her dad named her. And I guess since my grandmother didn't get to name my mom, she was like, oh, first child, I'm naming her. So British, my mom was in school when she had me. So Sierra Leone, it's actually pronounced Sierra Leone. I have a hyphen over or accent over one of the E's. And then Mendoza's my dad's last name, and he's Filipino.
I love this. It's such a sexy, cool, like, ooh. It feels like I promise your swag matches your name. It's like they knew. They knew. Where are you from? Let the people know where you're from.
I'm from the A. I'm
From
from the
ATL.
A.
She be repping. I love it. She be repping.
I
Okay. Those do not count as the questions. I'm going to question number three right now, y'all. Question number three. What is the proudest moment of your life thus far? Like thus far, what makes you the proudest?
Ooh, thus far, it used to be that I was serving in the military, but honestly, is that I'm serving on a worship team. In the capacity that I am. I grew up in church. I grew up, singing in the choir, but I was never like a leader, and it was always because I was so shy of my gift. And so I never. They were like always try to pass me the mic. I'm like, I don't know what y'all talking about. That ain't what I want, or whatever. And so when I joined the worship team that I'm on right now, it causes you to be. Although I'm still singing background in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
it still causes you to be like the forefront of who God is and what worship looks like and how to get to the center of Jesus. So that's probably my most proud moment for sure. It's just being on the team and answering the call to my gift. Because for so long I was like, no, not at all. I was so shy.
And I'm curious, like, so how did you break out of being shy? Now that was question. That was already three questions. We rolling right into our segment, y'all. And as I told you, this is bigger than just serving your country because this woman also serves the Lord. She is a servant altogether. So that's what we're here to talk about, and also just her journey is just very powerful. And I want to start kind of where how and where did the God come into play? And then I want to get into something else. But how did you get into, serving the Lord, or even just getting saved for that matter?
Um, Again, my grandmother made sure that I was in the church young. Um, and then I think I got baptized for the first time when I was 16, but that was like, mama said, hey, we going to church and we getting baptized type of thing. And so, but I was still intrigued and I still knew and I still loved the Lord and I still believed. But it wasn't until I moved to LA, um, where I was like, no, I got to like, I'm dedicating my entire life to God. And I got baptized at my church. And it's been uphill from there. And when I say uphill, it's been uphill with the Lord. My life is all over the place, but uphill with the Lord, and just knowing the difference between religion and relationship. So yeah.
Did you hear what she said, people? Because y'all heard me say something like this very early on other episodes. A difference between religion and relationship, everybody. Because even though you were introduced by your grandma, it's like you still had to build your own relationship with God so that it seemed to be like real. Because if not, it's just religion because you're doing what somebody else told you to do. This is how it's supposed to be. This is what everybody does. And there is a difference, people. There is a difference. It does not have to be this little technical thing. You have to build an organic relationship just like you would with anybody else. And so, British, I just want to ask this, like, what was your decision when it came to joining into the service? Like, that's a huge thing. And today you don't really hear nobody for that matter. I don't know anybody. I know one dude that I was talking to. I know one dude that was already in the service before I met him. So he's serving right now. Bless his heart. He's deployed and God cover him. But he's a Marine. And so it was like nobody else that I knew. I mean, I'm grown. Like I didn't know people outside of my daddy who served. He served in the army. How did you get and what was it? What led you to do it? And tell me that story.
You know what's so crazy? So in high school, I joined ROTC. But the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why I joined is because I used to spend summers with my godmom, and she was in the Air Force. Um,
Ah.
and she was married to a guy who was in the Navy, and I just loved their lifestyle. I loved what it brought for them, and I wasn't really interested in the military before then because my grandfather was actually in the Navy during, I don't know where it was, but it was a long time ago. And he actually went AWOL because he was a black man serving in the Navy, and it wasn't, segregation and all of that was still very much a thing back then. And so he actually left and disappeared for 12 years. And so to me, I wasn't trying to join that, you know what I'm saying? But when I saw my godmother in it, um, it kind of intrigued me. So I joined ROTC in high school, did 3 years of that, and then my instructors at the time was like, "You would be a perfect fit." Talked to a recruiter. The recruiter got me, took the test, and he was like, "You qualify for the top jobs." And one of the things he also said was, "You'll never deploy." So I'm like, "Perfect! I got the top jobs, and I'll
Wait
never."
a minute though.
Yeah. And so I joined. And as soon as I joined, a year after, I went on my first deployment, and then I never stopped after that.
Oh my
And I was
God.
in for 6 years.
Where was the first deployment?
Afghanistan.
Jesus. Okay. So this is how this story already just took. Now, did you know God in that time? Like, were you in a
I did
relationship?
know God. I did. I wouldn't say that I had the relationship that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely prayed. I definitely went to church from time to time. But I was more focused on honestly, I was more focused on the career in the military than I was on my relationship with God. So
So I just asked that because that is where, and it's such a good story because I'm like, oh my gosh, you are doing something that like I said, I don't know anybody else. And as a woman doing this, a beautiful woman at that, like, okay, I'm digressing because I'm going to come back to it. My producer is sending me messages. I'm going to get back on track. But how did that work? Like, what was it like? And I'm just being real nosy right now, but like, what's it like? Were you only with women? Like, can you date while you're doing this? I'm like, I'm thirsty sometimes, God. Like, how's this gonna work? Do you not get to date because you're in the military? What?
so That is so funny. So dating is actually big in the military. Like mugs get married because you get all of these benefits. Like it's like as soon as people get in the military, they're like, oh, I can get married, I can get benefits for so and so when I'm deployed. My benefits go up, blah blah blah. But honestly, the dating part for me, I was again more focused on the career than I was anything else. So try to date non-existent for me because I was traveling. I was gone at least once or twice each year, and for months at a time. So it wasn't possible for me. Um, but yeah, I think that answered that question, right?
That answers the question because I was just curious about this. Did anybody like try to stop you when you said you were gonna join? Did anybody like, no, don't do that?
No, no, my family was for it because they were. How do I tell my family business without telling my family? So we didn't grow up in the. So I'm claim Atlanta. I'm from Atlanta. I know Atlanta. I was born in Pensacola, Florida, though, and that's where my grandmother raised me until I was about 8. Then we moved to Atlanta. So Pensacola, Florida. If you've ever been there, is not the most glorious. I mean, it's nice. People go there for beaches. Like the beaches are nice, but it's not like what do you have, low class, middle class. It's not the highest class of people unless you're retired. So I wasn't the highest class of people, and so what I knew was the country. That's all I knew. And so me getting out and into the world, like we didn't travel much. When we did travel, it was up and down Florida and then to Georgia. That was about it, and then maybe to Maryland because I had an aunt that stayed there. But we didn't get to see too much of the world. And so when I was going out, my family was all for it. They was like, we are excited for you. Of course, I had told them the same thing my recruiter told me. I wasn't deploying, so they didn't have anything to worry about. And yeah, so it was all good. They were all for it until I told them I had to deploy, and they were like, wait, what? And I was also like, wait, what? But took it on and did it more than once. So
Okay. So what was the scariest moment when you were out? If there was one, what was it?
oh, for sure. So I'll never forget this story, and I'll tell this story as much as I can. But my second deployment, I was going out to one of the worst places you can go to at the time because this place got attacked a lot, right? And so before I was leaving, I had a couple of people that had been there before and was like, you got to be vigilant. Just know what's going around, know your surroundings, get connected with the people there because those are the people that you're going to need to lean on just in case you guys get attacked or whatever. And I was hearing all of this negative stuff, no positives about this place whatsoever. Right. And so again, I knew the Lord, just wasn't in relationship with him like I am now, but I prayed about it. And then I just was like, I gotta go. Like I can't back out of it. I already signed the papers. So I get out there, and before you go to certain places in Afghanistan, you have to stop at a certain place. So I stopped there. Again, I'm hearing all this bad news. Like, are you prepared? Like, do you need anything? Blah blah blah. And the day before I got to this particular place, they got attacked.
Oh,
Right. And so I'm like, oh snap, what they were saying was true. But again, I'm not somehow I didn't allow that stuff to like fuel me. Like spiritual warfare wasn't upon me during that time. I really didn't even know what spiritual warfare was back then. But it wasn't something that that wasn't something that attacked my mind. So I was just like, well, I got to do it. Like I had this mentality of we all gonna die one day. So if I have to die here, this is my story, and I did exactly what I was supposed to do on Earth. So the next day I go out there and I'm out here for months. Not once while I was out there did we get attacked. Not once. Not one single time. And this is supposed to be the worst place you can go to in Afghanistan. And I kid you not, the day after I left, they got attacked again.
Angels.
So,
Angels.
that was probably the most scary, just knowing that I'm going to one of the worst places and at any time we can get attacked and at any time. Because I think the day before I passed somebody, I mean the day before I got there, somebody passed away in that attack. So that was probably the most scary. But other than that, I don't remember. I think while I was out there, the places that I was at probably that second deployment, no attacks. The first one maybe like 2. But I was far from the scene, so it had no impact on me. But
So when you're out there, right, do you feel like as a woman, like do you feel like you get treated any differently, or do you feel like there's things that you had to do different from what a man would have to do being out there amongst people where it's dangerous and you're in another country?
So luckily for me, I had one of the most blessed jobs, like the most cushion jobs you can have. I can't really tell you what that was, but I
Okay,
had a
that's
job, I had a job that required me to be respected because you would have to come to me to get the information that you would need to do your job. So,
got it.
and I always, whenever I always deployed by myself. It was never with the team. So when I would go out there, they knew I was coming. Hey, you sit here. We got you all set up. If you need anything, let us know. And then I was able to gain families through stuff like that because it was respect from the get go. It wasn't, they didn't care that I was female. They didn't care that I was in the Air Force because a lot of people get clowned for being in the Air Force because they call it the chair force. But I didn't have any of those issues. Like I tell people all the time, I had one of the most blessed and lucky careers you can have in the military because there's so many people that fight years to have what I had in my first 6 years.
Favor, man.
Yeah, nothing but favor. So it
And
was,
this is how you end up turning everything into what it's turned into. So what you just told me, it just gives me enough to go into this. This is what you brought up earlier in the show. The strength that it takes, the courage that it takes to do something like this. And I'm going to stop and say this again. Thank you to all of our veterans. Thank you to the people who allow their families, like British's family, to go out and put their lives on the line, literally. I know this is a day where so many of us will get together and we'll be with our families and we'll be barbecuing. Well, I think it's going to be a lot different this year, but we still going to be sneaking and doing it.
right.
So the people who still doing it, I just want you to know ultimately it's because these people have gone out and laid their lives on the line in whatever capacity that they've done that. So I want you to take a moment when you hear this, take a moment, stop and say a prayer, stop and say thank you. Find out how you can service veterans. Find out how you can service widows to people who had relatives that were in the military and they're no longer here, because it is a thing, you guys, and it has happened, and it is a devastating thing to people whose family don't come home. I mean, you see these stories all the time right now, British, where like the parents, like I'm such a punk, I cry about everything, like I'm a cry person whenever I watch movies or anything like that. So I was watching this thing on Facebook. This person had shared something where they were surprising their mom, and they have so many feel good things, and my algorithm puts all those things in my face. But girl, I was because they, like, for whatever reason, they got to come home and their mama was working and they came and surprised her, and she just, like, pretty much like fell out. But it's like, oh my God, my heart is so touched. And so I just thank you again. Thank you to all those who serve. And I want to ask this now, like, based on what you did and how strong you were and how your mind had to be before you got into the relationship that you have now with God, how did that translate? Say now that we talked about this, it's no more natural warfare, but you in a spiritual battle that you are aware of. And I think the spiritual battle is always different when you know it's there. It's different when you don't know that the fight is happening, that the war is happening between the angels and the demons, that the war is happening with your flesh and your spirit. But now that you know, what did you see and how do you handle it based on what you've like learned or can apply from the service that you've done in the military to your life spiritually? Like, what kind of battle, how do you go to war in the spirit? That's my question.
Oh, that's a good question. How do you? Oh, I like that. Okay. How do you go to war? And man, so um, just recently, I had to like look this up because I'm like, nah, something is not right. Like I don't feel right. The atmosphere isn't right, even though I'm in the atmosphere of my own home by myself and I haven't been anywhere because of quarantine. But I'm like, something isn't right. And so I literally went to YouTube because I'm like, what exactly is spiritual warfare? What does that look like? Um, and I had already had like prior knowledge on it, but I just wanted to have it's something about hearing somebody else's testimony that helps you like understand, right? And so I went to this YouTube. I don't even know the girl's name, but I ended up watching it. She was like 3 tips to know that you're in spiritual warfare, and the first one was confusion. And I was like, that was enough for me. I didn't even have to watch it.
Turned it off after that.
Yeah, I didn't even have to watch the rest of the video because I'm like, I know, like, I'm confused right now, right? And so the way that I get through spiritual warfare and the way that I have been getting through it and not even realizing that it was spiritual warfare is just going to the word, like, and I'm not even gonna trip or try to make it seem like it's something that it's not. But sometimes it's hard for me to read the word because
that's warfare right there.
Yeah, that's spiritual warfare in itself.
It is.
Sometimes I'm just like, what am I reading, Lord? Like, what do you want me to read? How do I meditate on this and stuff like that? But honestly, I will pace in my house, like, and just start speaking to God and worshiping and singing songs. I mean, I will sing a song to God all day long. Like that has always been my thing, but it had become, I don't know what the word, it had become like too comfortable for me. So I'm like, no, Lord, you need to draw me out of that comfort zone. What is something so I know that I'm getting to the source? Because like I said, I can sing any song and be like whatever. But he was like, no, you need to go to that word. And so thank God for you. Is it you verse? The Bible
verse. Yep.
Thank God for that, because they have a plan for everything. They have a plan for whatever you can literally type in whatever you're feeling and a plan will pop up. And so that's something I exercise, those plans. I exercise praying. I'm learning how to exercise meditating. I'm a natural thinker. My job in the military was an analyst, and so I can say that much. So analysts just tend to think a lot. And so
I dated one of those. Jesus give me strength. Because y'all are special, boy. I'm trying to think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I will think it out, and I also had to learn too how to take those thoughts and put them down on paper, because I'm a great thinker, but I'm not a good journalist. And so journaler, person who journals. So
but that makes sense.
I had to figure out how
to get that perfect sense now that you say that.
Yeah, I had to get it out of my head because I'm like, I'm thinking too much. So now what I do is I'll write it down. Like I have I'll type it down because I'm not a pen and paper person. But on my laptop, I have my notes thing, and I'll go into my notes, and I have one specifically called Intimacy with God, and I'll just type out everything that I'm thinking, and it just helps me calm down, knowing that the spiritual warfare is still there because the devil is forever present. But there was one worship session that I watched, I wish I remember the name, on YouTube, and at the end of it, this guy explained how one of his friends sat 2 chairs down, and one of the chairs was for him and the other chair was for the devil, and he sat in front of the chair that was for the devil and was like, you're gonna watch me worship the Lord. And now that's how I feel. Like whenever I'm typing, like, you're gonna watch me worship the Lord through my thoughts right here on this paper. You're gonna watch me worship the Lord while I'm pacing. You're gonna watch me worship the Lord while I'm watching my YouTube, getting my worship on. Like, you're gonna watch me worship the Lord because I know you're trying to affect our relationship, and I just can't let that happen. So,
oh, you talk about stunning on the devil. That is good. And if y'all take this into perspective, my girls and my wise men that are listening, take that and keep it in your hearts, because that is exactly what it's about. If you keep your butt in worship and prayer and whatever the case may be, it might seem to be a small thing. You know, warfare, it can start with a baby thing and end up being blown up. That's why you got to try not to give them a foothold. Like, it's not easy. I'm not going to lie. Like, sitting in the room right now with quarantine happening, it's even harder to fight because you're not able to do the things you normally do. But I love that worship in front of him. Remember, that's what you're doing. Sit that chair up, put it up, whatever you got to do to remind yourself. And spiritual worship, we're going to go ahead and get ready to talk about the last thing that I want to bring to the table, because I appreciate your time and you being here with us. It is such a blessing. So we want to talk about your music. Now, you are, I don't know what the shy thing was about, because I seen her perform live, y'all. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it was a hype song though, so it wasn't like it was like, oh, worship or whatever. But I'm gonna tell you right now, it was litty. So she ain't look shy. I don't know where that came from. I don't know who said that was a lie. So it's like right now, the artist that you are, I'm so grateful that you broke out of your shell, whatever that shell was. I would just love to know, what do you want people to get when they hear your music, and please tell us what you're working on right now or what you just completed.
So the number one thing that I always want people to get through my music is healing, whatever that means for you. And I'm a worship leader at a church, but I don't just do worship music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, healing through, I have a song called A to LA, and somebody texted me and was like, I love this song. Like, this is a movement that I've been trying to make happen. I've been trying to move from Atlanta to LA. I just feel like that's the calling. And it's just helped me so much, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that song of all songs was not something I was expecting to heal. Like, it's just a fun song for me. And it was just
It's motivation.
a fun little story. And so, that's just always healing through the music or some type of insight from God. And I don't believe that you have to just get that through worship music, which is why I don't just do worship music.
That's
Um,
good.
but yeah, and so what I'm working on right now is I haven't decided if it's an EP or album yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's most likely going to be EP, but I'm working on a EP, just kind of like my life story or my life journey, sort of. All about, crazy enough, it's about warfare. So the spiritual side, the physical side, and
There's your confirmation. Okay,
and
go
the
ahead.
military side. But just getting past those, and you know, yeah, that's pretty much it. It's my therapy right now until I can get into
That's
it.
our therapy. Okay, that's why I have this segment on my show. I am obsessed with music, and I'm not a musician, so I appreciate people like you who have a gift and you share it to the rest of us. I have to say, your song, Your Hands, is like, I'm obsessed with that song, and it when I tell you that I listen to it, it's like 100% star quality. So whatever it is you feel like singing, feel free. But can you bless us with a little something, a rap, a song? Do
Oh
something for
Lord.
my
Okay.
people, please.
I guess I'll do the first verse of that song.
Woo, okay, cool. I'm such a. I knew you was gonna do it because I kind of pressured you. Okay, let me stop.
Um, so the song is called Your Hands, and it's basically exactly what the title says. Everything's in God's hands. So, ooh, Lord, do it scary, Lord. Okay. There is a place I can call home. There is a space I'm not alone. There is a grace I am made whole. It's in your hands. It's in your hands.
Listen, get on Amazon Music, y'all. Get on. What else is it on? British. Where else can they find
It's on Amazon Music, all of them, Spotify.
every platform? Amazon Music, YouTube, Spotify. Get on there, download. Get her all the music she has. Just get her music. She got hype music. She got spiritual stuff. She got whatever you need. I'm telling you, I'm only bringing people here that y'all gonna want to hear from later. I promise you that. I would never ever set you up for failure. This song will slay you quickly. It'll take you out. And as you can hear, she can sing. Okay, with nothing, she can sing.
I don't
And
even know what I just sounded like, so.
no, you sound perfectly fine, but you have no idea. And this is only because we're not in the studio. Trust me, when we're in the studio, you coming back. And I just want y'all to be clap it up one more time for our guest slash musical artist. As you can see, the beautiful British, y'all. I love her. She's like somebody I want to be my friend. Like, you know how you have people you would be friends with. She one of them. So I want you to follow her. Her information will be below. Make sure you keep up with what she's doing. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Girls, Shout out to the girls. All right, y'all. We are wrapping up this episode. I just want to say thank you again for watching and listening. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Make sure you follow, like, subscribe to Girl Talk with J. Marie. As you know, I'm your girl, J. Marie, your little crazy, kind of cool, kind of sexy host, something like that. And yes, y'all, it's Girl Talk, but because it's Girl Talk, a wise man is going to want to listen. Now, let me just tell you something. You are still here. That means you have the opportunity to create your own happy ending. Please do not give up. Be strong and be courageous because God is with you, and y'all, so are we. We got your back now. You watching Girl Talk with J. Marie. Till next time, I holla. I holla.